campaigns on mainland Tanzania and Zanzibar as well?
Well, first of all, Yusuf, thank you so much for having me. And really, it's such a pleasure to sit for an interview with Azam and to be able to just share again the respect I have for journalists and for the media, and how vital and critical the role that an independent media plays, particularly in the time of elections, when the media is able to do its really critical role, which is to allow for the kind of robust debate, to allow citizens to have their voices heard, to press on the important issues of the day that need to be discussed during election time. That role that the media plays is so vital at any time, but particularly during an election time. So I just want to say thank you for the work you do, and just the great respect I have for members of the media, and just to recommit that the United States really stands globally around the world with members of the media and journalists, and how important it is for their independence, their safety, and their credibility. You know, elections are a time of real opportunity. It's an opportunity for countries to grow. It's an opportunity for debates to happen. It's an opportunity for to chart a new path forward in the post-election landscape. And I look out at this election, and you know, I really hope that one, it's going to be peaceful. And for Tanzanians to be able to express themselves and be able to have their voice heard, and for this election to take advantage of the kind of opportunity we were just talking about. First and foremost, it has to be peaceful. And I know that in looking back over the history, there's been a history of some violence in previous elections, particularly on Zanzibar in 2015 and 2020. So as a friend and partner to Tanzania, I really do hope that the authorities, the people, the political parties, that they choose dialogue and engagement over violence, and do all that they can to ensure that this process is competitive and peaceful, to allow Tanzanians to have the opportunity to have their votes count and their voice heard.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that. That's the one. The next is, how could the result impact the flow of American tourists, trade and investment in the country?
Well, I mean, as you know, Yusuf, in Zanzibar in particular, we've got 35,000 American tourists coming here every year. Our companies and investors are putting billions of dollars of investments and value addition into this economy and into the GDP of Zanzibar. That is a huge contribution, not only to the present, but to the future. And I personally know that there are many American investors and companies who would love to come into this market. So they are looking at Zanzibar, they see the potential, but they're always going to have to look at what the conditions are. And so if elections were not peaceful, if the people and authorities and the parties did not decide to seize the opportunity that elections provide, and choose dialogue and peace, then I do think it could have the potential to depress the interest in this market, to depress new capital inflows, to depress the number of tourist visits that Zanzibar is enjoying right now. Again, I think the sky is the limit. The opportunity is here. Americans love to come to Zanzibar, and in case people don't know, Yusuf, it's important, and I urge people to look this up. But Americans spend more per capita as a tourist than visitors from any other part of the world. So when you get an American tourist, somebody who is flying 24, 25 hours to get here, excited for their entry into Zanzibar and into Tanzania, and they're ready to spend their money, those are the kind of tourists you want to keep a hold of. Those are the kind of tourists you want to encourage to come to your country. So I think, again, I go back to my hope that these elections will be peaceful, that they will be competitive, that they will seize the opportunity that elections present for Zanzibar and for Tanzania, and that it opens the door for those increased investments, capital expenditures, value addition, and tourist visits that I know is possible.
Okay, based on your personal opinion on the investment situation in Zanzibar, so what is condition of investment in Zanzibar, based on your personal experience and opinion as well? As far as I know that you have visited, you have worked in different developing countries.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to not compare country to country, if you don't mind, but I think I just want to stay here in Tanzania. Okay. You know, I just came from lunch with American companies and investors who are, who have had presence here, who have had success here, who are still very sure of the opportunity that this market provides. I also just went to Arusha and Kilimanjaro and saw very exciting examples of American companies, investors bringing new innovation and technology to shared problems and creating new opportunity, new jobs, new value addition for local communities. I've seen it. I've seen real success on American companies and investors here in Tanzania. That gives me real hope that we have a foundation of success on which we can stand and begin to build more opportunity, to create a virtuous cycle going forward that can build value and opportunity for both the American people and for the Tanzanian people. That said, there are real challenges in the investment climate here and that are making it difficult for American investors and companies to come in here easily. And it's something that I've used many of my meetings with government officials about, is to say, let's work together as a representative of the United States government and you as the Tanzanian government and our private sector partners, both Tanzanian and American. Let's work together to identify what those barriers to trade and investment are, and then work together to tear them down. So I think that we can do this. We know that there's opportunity, we know there's potential, but now what it's going to take is political will, and it's going to take real momentum and initiative to remove the remaining barriers to trade and investment, and so that we can claim that future of opportunity that I think is there for us.
Okay. The impact of misinformation and disinformation is in high stake during the election campaigns in different world. America is a big example for that. So what are you going to tell Tanzanians that's on this area of mis and disinformation and its impact?
It's a great question, and I think the way that you framed it, I really appreciate. It's a global challenge. It's not just a challenge in Tanzania. It's not just a problem in the United States. I think you asked for my advice to Tanzanians. First advice is make sure that you're really knowing where you're getting your news from. I mean, here I am speaking with a seasoned journalist who has been trained in asking the right questions, asking the tough questions, making sure that you're getting to the facts. And I think it's sources of news like this that are so important, one, to support, but two, to get you know where you're getting your news from. There's a lot of people who are now choosing to get their news from social media, but you don't know where the sources are and where that information is coming from. So number one, make sure you know where you're getting your news from, and two, do your homework. Make sure that you educate yourself, that you're an educated consumer of the news, because there are a lot of stories that you could just take that are completely false, and if you just think about it a little bit, you'll know that that is a crazy story. So educate yourself, know where you're getting your news from. Those are some of the biggest things. That's on the consumer side of the news. That's some of the biggest ways to protect yourself from misinformation and disinformation, and make sure that an electoral process is a good one and a peaceful one and not inflamed by this kind of bad information. I think on the supply side though, so that's on the consumer side, on the supply side, it is important that, one, there continues to be a free and independent media that is able to do the kind of investigative work that is important to educate voters, particularly at a time of election, but at any time of the year. And so that is a regulatory, that is a policy proposition that we have to make sure that there is a climate in which a free and independent media can operate. And then it's up to journalists like yourself, I think, that you have a responsibility to ask the tough questions, to keep asking the questions, to make sure that we as public servants are giving you the answers that the public demands. And then, of course, I have a responsibility. My responsibility is to be present for you, to make sure that I make myself available so that, and accept your tough questions and do my best to answer them.
Okay, so what is the United States trajectory now, especially after the shutting of the US aid, and how the projects and the programs that were funded by the US aid?
Yeah. We've gone through a big transition, and you just said it. There's a transition from, we are transitioning through our new policies from a focus on using development dollars into a more private sector-led growth model. And so let me explain that a little bit more. We've had, over the last 60 years, the United States of America has invested billions of dollars into Tanzania, into its education systems, into its health systems, into media and good governance, into wildlife preservation. It's been billions of dollars of US tax dollars invested into Tanzania, and we invested that in the interest of creating a partner with whom we could work, with whom we could grow together, and work together on creating a more stable global order. Now we're at a different point in our relationship, 60 years or so into our relationship. Tanzania is now a middle-income country, and by 2050 it wants to be an upper middle-income country. So it is time to shift and to begin to move away from this relationship where it is donor-recipient to now peer-peer, where we can start working together based on that foundation of success we've established, work together to promote economic growth, work together to create the kinds of human capital that can solve the world's great problems, work together to make sure that diseases don't cross border and threaten the global order. And I think the way that we can do that more effectively is by, one, working together as strategic partners to figure out what does this new space look like in declining development dollar space. How do we then also bring and attract new private sector investment into our health facilities, into our educational institutions, into the private sector writ large, where these are new partners that I think can bring new energy, new resources, new money to the equation, and actually make for a much more stable and sustainable kind of approach to these things. So that's where we're headed. We want to see working with Tanzania as a peer, meeting Tanzania where it is as an upper middle income country, and shifting from using a development-focused model, a donor-recipient model, into one where we are encouraging private sector partnerships and new kinds of partnerships to be able to tackle these problems.
Okay. The role of America in the keeping peace globally is in dilemma now. What is your opinion?
Well, why do you say it's in dilemma?
Lots of fighting, lots of crises around the world, and America is a big nation. They're powerful, more persuasion, more engaging on the peace of the world. It looks like in dilemma.
Well, I would argue, I would say I disagree with that assessment. You look around the world and there are lots of crises happening in Ukraine, Russia, in the Middle East with Israel, Iran, Gaza. You see it here, this 30-year plus war in the Democratic Republic of the Congo with Rwanda and some of the regional neighbors participating. And what you see is a robust United States of America presence in each one of these conflicts, that we are front and center in trying to resolve each one of them. And I am very proud of what we are doing to try and solve the conflict in Eastern DRC, bringing the foreign minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda together in Washington to sign a framework agreement in June, that we are working very closely with our Qatari partners to try and match their process of bringing some non-state actors like M23 into the process and linking that to ours. And also standing on the shoulders of our regional partners, of the EAC and SADC and President Samia Suluhu Hassan, and the work that she did in convening people together in Dar es Salaam several months ago, that we are engaging with our partners. We are bringing our strength as a superpower to bear to try and solve one of Africa's longest conflicts. So in my opinion, I look around the world and I see a robust American, a forward-leaning American presence in these conflicts, not at all a withdrawal.
Yeah. Do you have anything to tell Zanzibaris?
Zanzibaris, I say, I come to Zanzibar as often as I can. This is a beautiful island. It is, I love Stone Town. It's magical. I would love to just get lost in the streets and find my way and enjoy seeing both the residents of Stone Town and the shops that are appealing to tourists, see the history in the doors and the buildings, taste the lovely cuisine and the food. There is so much opportunity here. I also see I would love America to be a partner to Zanzibar in tapping the potential that is here. I would love to see more American companies and investors coming here and being a party to your growth, and seizing again that opportunity that we talked about at the start of this. And if I can, Yusuf, I want to just share one story. I started my day today at an American-run organization that is really starting to think differently about the systems, about health systems here in Zanzibar, and looking at personalized, attentive care to women and their families who are, to make sure that we can drive neonatal or deaths in pregnancy and in mothering and in birth down to zero. And this is an American Zanzibari woman and her team who are bringing this technology and innovation and new thinking to bear. And it's just an example of the kinds of things that I know our peoples can do together. That when Americans and Zanzibaris get together to solve problems, we can do amazing things. And I'm just excited by the future. I'm excited by the opportunity. But again, I think it all has to come down to, you know, these elections, again, as I said, are an opportunity. And they create, there's two paths going forward. There's a path in which this election is competitive and peaceful, and the people of Zanzibar are able to choose their leadership, and that, I think, can usher in a real future of opportunity and partnership, increased investment, and more bilateral, stronger bilateral relationship. There's also a path, the alternate path, where these elections don't go as well as they could. And I think it goes to your question, what will that do? I think there's a potential that it depresses some of that opportunity. It delays it from being realized.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yusuf. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.